So we are almost at the end of 2023, and I don't know about you all, but every time we get to the end of a year, I like to look back on the year and start to be a little bit reflective and think about things. And because a lot of my life is Pokemon related, just buying, selling, collecting, all these things, I thought it would be fun to look back on the year that we had in Pokemon, look at the different sets, give them a ranking from the worst to the best, and to also point out some of my favorite card arts in each one of those sets. So without further ado, let's get into the video for today. So 2023, we had 6 sets that were released throughout the course. We had Crown Zenith that kind of kicked things off back in January. Then we went to Scarlet and Violet, March 31st. That was our first little foray into the next generation of Pokemon. Just for clarity's sake, I got into Pokemon for the first time in my entire life about halfway through Sword and Shield. Astral Radiance was my first full set that came out that I was collecting, and I was into it, and I was all about it. So this is my first full year in Pokemon, and so there was a lot of hype for this year. Each set I was really anticipating and looking forward to. So with Scarlet and Violet coming out, lots of new changes and things that we'll talk about here in a little bit, I was pretty hyped. I was pretty excited. Then we got Paldea Evolved in June for my birthday month set that came out. Obsidian Flames came out in August, kind of like the back to school set. Scarlet and Violet 151 in September, and then we rounded out the year with Paradox Rift back on November 3rd. So what is my 6th most favorite set from 2023? It is Obsidian Flames. I don't think that I'm saying anything here that people disagree with. I think further on down the list, I'm going to have some thoughts and feelings about particular sets that are going to differ from yours, and that's okay. Everybody's got an opinion. That's totally fine. So whenever I generated the slide deck using AI, it threw in a little Ash Ketchum quote on there. So I was like, I like that. I'm going to run with that theme. So I've got a different Ash Ketchum quote for each one of the sets. This one was, gotta fire them all. Originally it said, gotta catch them all. And I was like, gotta fire them all, because it's a fire set. It's a Charizard set. For me, I'm not a huge Charizard fan, not a huge collector. I was not an OG collector, so like all of the base set stuff and things like that, it just kind of goes over my head, and I don't really understand the crazy hype around Charizard personally. My son loves Charizard. That's his favorite Pokemon, so I do have some love in my heart for Charizard because of that. But for me personally, he just doesn't really do a whole lot for me. Now, I will say that I do love the big card from the set, which was this special illustration rare Charizard EX. It came out of the gate. It was like $200 right out of the gate. Now it can be purchased for around, I think, like $70, maybe even less than that at this point. But I love the art style, the terrestrialization, however you say that word. Kind of a weird, interesting gimmick. I don't really know how I feel about it. I like the VMAX thing that they did with Sword and Shield a little bit more than the terrestrialization. Again, maybe the problem is that I don't know how to pronounce that word. But I love the card art. I love the kind of like sketch, like you would expect to open up a child's sketchbook and see something to that effect. But it's also has like some elegance and beauty to it. But also now we're getting like the Dark Charizard in the new set that's going to come out in January. It's like, all right, change it up a little bit. Like there's so many amazing arts, but still it's a great card. I thought the Ninetales art rare was a banger. I love the use of like illumination coming from the back. Just very beautiful. Lechonk, he's just such a happy boy. My goodness, look, you can't look at that card and not smile. He's got his belly full. He's happy. He's passed out on the floor. This is what I look like after Thanksgiving and Christmas. I get down on the floor and I'm happy and I digest. I digest and I'm happy. We got the Cleffa. I was going to say Clefairy, but it's Cleffa. I'm a big space guy, so anytime they incorporate any kind of space elements in here, I like that. I like the use of reflection in the card as well. I think it's a really pretty card. Again, using the use of illumination here with the Belly Bolt, I think that's a banger of a card as well. And again, with the reflection, just really eye-catching. And then I really had to stretch to try and get more than 3 cards. Originally, I was going to go with just 3 cards on each slide. But for every other set, that was not possible because there were way more than 3 cards that I really, really loved from each set. But this one, I could have been fine, honestly, cutting it off after the Lechonk. The Cleffa, the Belly Bolt, those are good. The Ice Cube is like, man, I'm really stretching. But I like the Ice Cube because it is just a little bit different. And also, that card is only $2 right now. $2 right now. It's December 2023 currently, whenever I'm recording this, but I feel like that card is worth way more than $2. It does have nice texture. It's an SIR, and it looks much better in person. But I like the dynamic of it, and I think the terrestrialization with the dynamic of fire and ice works really well for IceQ in that one. So that is my sixth favorite set of 2023. My fifth favorite set of 2023 is Scarlet and Violet Base. Silver borders, woot! So there was all kinds of hype. We were going to get 3 holo cards in every pack now. That was going to be guaranteed to get foil. That's good. A nice switch up from Sword and Shield base, the Sword and Shield generation, whenever it was possible that you could get no foiling in an entire pack of cards, and that was so demoralizing. So I liked the idea of getting some kind of foiling. Of course, if they're going to include foiling of some kind in every pack, that means that all of the foil cards, the reverse holos and the holos, the value of those is going to go down. But it still feels better overall, I would say, to open up a pack of cards and at least see some kind of foiling. So I like that change. I like the migration to silver borders. I think it looks classier. It looks a little better compared to the yellow borders. So there was hype around Scarlet and Violet, and that's why I like it a little bit better than Obsidian Flames. There was some really, really solid artwork in there. The Miriam, which is the big chase card from the set, I thought was really, really cool. I love just anytime there's a Pokemon card with all kinds of busyness going on and like a chaotic nature with like little bitty tidbits that you can kind of pick out in the background, kind of like Easter eggs. I love that, and I think the Miriam's a really cool card. For me, though, probably the card of the set was the Griever. I remember pulling this for the first time, and it's just like one of those cards, the longer you look at it, the cooler it is. You just pick out all these little nuances and things within there, from the Gengar and the Ghastly Rugs to just all of the art and the illumination and just the vibe of it. I like spooky kinds of vibes, and that one really spoke to me. I think that's probably my number one favorite card from that set. Drowsy, it kind of reminded me of a Van Gogh painting. I'm a big Van Gogh fanatic, so like seeing that, and especially seeing it in person. Again, it's got that busy aspect. I like the use of illumination around Drowsy with the street lamp, with the light kind of pouring down to the sides there. I thought that was really cool, and it just kind of paints a really warm, fun picture in it, and it just reminds me of a Monet or a Van Gogh kind of painting. It's truly a work of art. I think it's a beautiful card. And then we got introduced, at least it was kind of like my first introduction, into these lines of cards that told stories. And I thought that the line that told the best story was the Ralts, Kirlia, and Gardevoir cards, where it started off, with the girl and the guy, and they've got their little friend Ralts in there, and they're kind of unpacking, they're moving into their house, things are happening in life, and then you fast forward a couple years, and Ralts has evolved into Kirlia, and now the woman has a child of her own. And so as the Pokemon has grown and evolved, so has the person and the family, and then in the final step, I get tingles. I get tingles just like looking at the story and drawing comparisons to my own life, because life is very fleeting and it just goes by in an instant. And to be able to capture that in a story like this, I think is just really beautiful. I love what they did with them. So definitely a special shout out to the evolving stories that they were telling, starting with the Scarlet and Violet base set. That was my fifth favorite. The fourth favorite is Paldea Evolved. Now, this is where I think there's going to be some people that are going to disagree with me. I know that Paldea Evolved, for a lot of people, specifically a lot of Poké investors that I watch on YouTube, they think that Paldea Evolved is the best set of 2023, that it's highly investable and valuable and things of that nature. I think that probably a lot of people are going to have it maybe third on the list if they ranked out all 6 of the sets. I'm going fourth, though. Solid set, would open again every day of the week. I would open it. I think I opened up probably 10 booster boxes of Paldea Evolved. Anytime I find packs and collection boxes, I'm always game to open it up, because there are so many fantastic cards. Once again, the big chase card, the Iono, the busyness from the Pikachu ice cream creations and the Eevee creations, and just like the busyness factor and the colors. It's crazy. I like it. I like it a lot. Iono is a very playable card. I hate whenever people play Iono cards against me, but I love playing them against people. So it's a really playable card, and that version, that variation of the card, with the sparkling especially, if you can see it in person with the texture, really, really cool card. Magikarp defies all like past experiences of art rare, second tier rarity kind of cards within a set. And Magikarp continues to be a very, very valuable card. It's been over I think it's been around a $50 to $80 card pretty much its entire existence, other than maybe like opening weekend. And I can certainly understand why and agree that it's because of the art, and it's not because that it's got the texture and the flash and whatnot. We saw that with the Ice Cube, that texture and special illustration rare doesn't always translate to top tier value. Sometimes it's the art, but I imagine that they were probably looking at this card, they had to have, right? And thought, should this be an SIR? I really feel like it should have, because it probably could have done with some extra special attention, with some texture and with some foiling. But as it is, it's still a beautiful card, a beautiful artwork, and really happy to have that one inside of the collection for sure. Skeledirge EX, probably not a whole lot of people's favorites. I was kind of flip-flopping between Skeledirge EX and the Fuecoco, just because that was my starter Pokemon that I chose in Scarlet and Violet as I played the game on Switch. Love the game. It's a 5 out of 5 game for me. And just looking at the Skeledirge EX card, it just reminds me of walking around that game with Skeledirge and having a great time, because I loved playing the video game. So this card was a direct reflection and reminder of those good times that I had with that game. The Tyranitar, it's another art rare, illustration rare that kind of defies the logic of value and things like that. It was $40 for a long time. I think it's now down to around $20. Really cool card. I love the perspective of it. Again, the unique lighting that they use, kind of with the lighting coming in from the right side, moving over to the left, with the sunset and the Pokemon flying around in the background. Tyranitar just looking very, very ominous and epic in every sense of the word. Very Godzilla-like. It's pretty darn good card. Pretty darn good. And then we've got the Chi-Yu. I have no soft spot in my heart at all for Chi-Yu. Even playing the game, and I can't remember any kind of interactions that I had with that Pokemon, but I love that card. Again, it's the light. If there's dynamic lighting and different colors, I love the centering of the Chi-Yu with the swirling around there. I just think it's a beautiful card. Beautiful card. And then we've got Ice Cube making another appearance. Again, another Pokemon that I don't really have any sentimental attachment to or value. I mean, it's a new Pokemon for Scarlet and Violet, but you know, I like the story that it's telling. You know, it makes sense for a penguin to have his big ice cube head stuck in the freezer. And I'm imagining that he's like, man, it's really hot in this house. I got to stick my head in the freezer to kind of cool off because I'm melting all over the place. And his buddy's kind of like there, like keeping a lookout. I think it tells a cool story, and it gives me a chuckle every time I see it. So, fourth best set of 2023, Paldea Evolved. Number 3 is Paradox Rift. So I think a lot of people would rank Paradox Rift behind Paldea Evolved. The reason that I rank it in front is what Ash Ketchum says here. Great art, amazing playability. It introduced a couple of new Pokemon into the TCG world that have been a lot of fun to learn and a lot of fun to use in decks. And those two are Roaring Moon and Iron Valiant. I have opened up, I think, 7 or 8 different booster boxes now of Paradox Rift, and I have not pulled Roaring Moon EX. It just breaks my heart. I'm going to have to pay secondary market prices for that one. But once again, it's the same theme as before. It's a busy card, lots of other Pokemon and different things that are going on within it. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I love the wingspan and the colors that are used in the Pokemon. Just looks very menacing and just really cool. The Garchomp EX, I thought whenever the set was first being revealed that would be my ultimate chase card. It wound up being the Roaring Moon EX is the one that I want the most, but I haven't pulled the Garchomp EX either, and I think it's a really, really neat card as well. It's a little bit simpler, but I like the design. It totally makes sense with Garchomp being a water-type Pokemon in there. And then the Iron Valiant EX, I kind of flip-flopped, and I was like, SIR, the full art. I really like the full art, and the reason that I like it is I really like what they did with the future and past variants of Pokemon in Paradox Rift. Specifically, the reverse holos looked absolutely beautiful as either a future or a past reverse holo. They kind of took them up a notch. They had a special little sheen and shimmer that went through them. I forgot to get a picture and add it to the presentation here, but whenever I was opening the packs, I was really enjoying just admiring the kind of variants that those cards provided. So I hope they continue that kind of thing in the future because I thought it was cool. Snow Run, I mean, look at his face. Just look at his face. He's so happy. He's so jolly, and it makes me want to go outside and play in the snow. I love that card. Morpeko, I have not pulled that card either, but he just looks like he's up to no good and super happy and just enjoying life on this pile of delicious foods. And then we've got the tandem of Gimmighoul and Goldango, the golden string cheese. I love how those two cards go together. The only thing that bothers me about these evolutions and the stories that they tell is that in my binder, I don't have them together. So I can't admire the story that they build and tell together in my binder, and that kind of stinks. Like I could reorganize my binder, of course, and put them in there, but there's just something in my brain that's like I got to have them in order by the number. But I can look at stuff like this, and the story that it tells is really cool. Goldango's another one that's a lot of fun to play in the set. It's got a lot of good playability, and it just changes things up a heck of a lot. Paradox Rift was really the time that the TCG really clicked for me, and that I got more into it and trying different decks and experimenting and doing different things. So for that, I thought it was a really great set, a lot of fun to open, tons of playability, great artwork, and my third favorite set of 2023. So number 2, which of course is going to reveal what my number 1 is, and I think everybody's probably number 1 and number 2 for the most part is going to be on par with what I've got. But you might disagree with me. I think the second best set of 2023 was Scarlet and Violet 151. Again, I'm a new collector. I was never ever into Pokemon until I think age 38 when I played Pokemon Legends Arceus, and I thought that was a lot of fun, and I wound up buying a Pokeball tin at the store just to try and open up some cards just for fun, and that really hit a dose of nostalgia for me, and now... Now Pokemon is everywhere. I'm just surrounded by it. Literally, I'm surrounded by it everywhere, in every part of my house. 151 was awesome. I think that if I would have been collecting, like since day one, or if I was like a lot of people and maybe was into it when I was a kid, got away from it, and then came back to it, this is just a huge dose of nostalgia. But I certainly appreciate the artwork in these cards, and I want to shout out several of them, obviously. I think the best evolution line that tells a story, and I love the Charizard and the Blastoise and the Venusaur. All of them tell really great stories through their 3-card evolution. For me, my favorite was Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, and then Venusaur. I just thought I like the color, the artwork on it, like the reflections in this one. I thought that was just really, really well done. Just how happy he is and how it's almost sort of, kind of like a Where's Waldo, like, where's Bulbasaur? Oh, there he is. He's so happy. Look at him. And it just puts a smile on my face to see it. I would say that the SIR Venusaur is not as good as the Blastoise. Like, this is my favorite SIR. The Blastoise EX just down in the like, imagine putting your face through the water and seeing this Blastoise down there, and he's just chilling, he's doing his thing, but he also looks freaking ticked off. And he's got these huge cannons, and he is loaded for bear and ready to go. That was my favorite special illustration rare. Charizard EX, I'm not a big Charizard guy, but I do enjoy the artwork on the Charizard EX. Just the art style, it's a little bit more comic bookish, more cartoonish. And then the evolution of, like Charmander being at the very bottom and then Charmeleon kind of moving up the canyon and then showing Charizard at the top. Really, really cool art style and direction on those cards. Mr. Mime. Now, if you would have told me that one of my favorite cards of 2023 was going to be a Mr. Mime card, I would have told you that you are insane in the membrane. Mr. Mime, he's cursed. Every time I see him in a pack, me and my son have a joke that if we see him in a pack, we're like, oh, this pack is cursed, and we've got to throw it and get away from it. But I love this card. And the Pokemon movie Detective Pikachu, that made me enjoy Mr. Mime a little bit more. And I watched that for the first time in 2022. So with the Detective Pikachu, Mr. Mime part, and then this card, I've grown a little bit more of an affection for Mr. Mime. He's still not a top tier favorite Pokemon of mine by any stretch of the imagination, but he was really funny in the movie. I gotta admit, he was very funny. And then just seeing these guys in the park playing chess, I think tells a really, really funny story. I really enjoy that. And then the Pikachu card, it's the classic Pikachu, and it's another one of those where like the longer you look at it, the more interesting it is. And I know I'm going to lose some street cred here, but I don't know who this purple Pokemon is. While I was making this presentation, that's the first time that I ever noticed that purple Pokemon. My favorite Pokemon is Gengar, but I like, is that Gengar? I can't tell. I can't say for certain. I don't know of another purple Pokemon that has red eyes. So you'll have to tell me in the comments how big of a dummy I am for not being able to realize that my favorite Pokemon is in this card until now, if that is in fact who it is. But we've got I think that's probably Clefairy and the Arcanine and Pikachu, and like, I like the art style. Again, it's kind of cartoony, a little bit different, busy card, but really, really iconic. I think that over time, I would assume it's probably going to be a quite valuable card over time. So, of course, since 151 was my second favorite, there's only one more set. That is my number one favorite set of 2023, Crown Zenith. Boy, did we start the year off on a banger. Golly, that Galarian Gallery slaps. Ash Ketchum says. I think there's, there 70 cards in the Galarian Gallery, which I'm a big special art rare, illustration rare kind of fan. Those are my go-to Pokemon cards. I think only one full art made my list, and the rest of them pretty much have been art rares or illustration rares or special illustration rares. So, of course, a set that has 70 of those to collect is going to be my favorite set. And I did. I collected every single one of them. I opened up a ton of Crown Zenith. I do not like specialty sets because it does make it more expensive to open and collect. There's no booster boxes. But I did my part to pad Pokemon's bottom line with Crown Zenith, because I don't even know how many ETBs I opened. I don't even know. And they weren't even selling booster bundles back then. And still to this day, I'm still opening Crown Zenith, because like, I'll get a TikTok deal on an ETB. I'm like, hey, I've got the set complete, but I just love opening it, because you never know what you're going to get. And there's just so many good artworks in the set. It's insane. My favorite card from the set, the Giratina V-Star in gold. I pulled one gold card my entire time opening up Crown Zenith. I don't even know. I can't even estimate the number of packs that I opened. One gold card the entire time. And it boggles my mind that I could pull one gold card, and the values of these are all sub $100, and in most of the cases sub $50. But I pulled the Arceus, which I was really happy about, and that's an awesome artwork. Did not pull the Giratina. I had to pay aftermarket prices for that one, but I regret nothing. It's a beautiful card. Very playable card as well. So there's that also. So the legendary doggos, the Raikou, the Suicune, and the Entei V, they all look really good. I wanted to just pick one. It was really hard for me to do so, but like the boxes that came out recently that have the little plastic cases in them, the magnetic plastic cases, I've got those 3 cards in those magnetic cases. They're on display. And I don't display a lot of cards like that. I mean, I've got a bunch of them in top loaders up against the wall there, but those cards are just so beautiful, and they look so good as a triplet set. Yeah, I guess a triplet set. Beautiful cards, but Raikou I think is my favorite out of the legendary dogs. Leafeon, one of my favorite Pokemon in existence. I think that's a beautiful, beautiful Leafeon card. The Lumineon really surprised me, just the colors and the artwork and the framing. Gorgeous colors and framing and artwork. Hisuian Samurott V, just a beautiful backdrop there, and with the reflection as well. The Hoopa V, I think that one does a fantastic job of telling like a little piece of Hoopa information. Is like Hoopa loves gold, and it's in its element right there, and it's so happy, and it kind of reminds me of Scrooge McDuck, and like diving into his money and doing his whole thing in there and having a good time. But I love that card. Ditto, I love a derpy Pokemon. And I don't know that there's a derpier looking Pokemon than there is Ditto whenever he is in that form. So I love that card. And then kind of a dark horse, a Dunsparce. I don't know what a Dunsparce is. I have no affinity or affection towards Dunsparce, but it just looks so cute. It's sleeping in there, and I've got so many copies of this card because I don't want to sell them. And I've opened up a lot of Crown Zenith, and I don't want to sell them, especially not for like the $1 that they're going for. I think it's really, really cool card. So those are my favorite sets of 2023. Some of my favorite cards as well. Appreciate you hanging in there and watching the video with me. Let me know down in the comments how you feel about my ranking and what some of your favorite cards, or even if you want to list out your favorite sets for 2023. I would love to hear that information. So appreciate you watching. Thank you very much for that. I wish you the very best on the rest of the 2023, and looking forward to some good stuff coming in 2024. So take care, everybody. We'll catch you in the next one.